Hey, Bill. Good to see you again.
Coelho.
Nice to be here.
Thanks for being here, man. It's always great seeing you.
It's great to see you too. And you were on stage yesterday here at BGS making like a big announcement. How was that?
I was very exciting. So as you know, as we mentioned yesterday, we presented our first TV ad shot here, produced here in Brazil with Brazilian actors. So we're very excited to get that on the air.
That was very exciting for us as fans. I saw two types of reactions online.
Okay.
One type with the very hardcore fans that like watch how Nintendo has been growing here and doing different things here step by step. They were excited. Wow, this is like a next step because the previous commercials were all, translated. Maybe they have a new operation, like to take care of everything here in Brazil. And the other was like, what? That was the announcement. They didn't show the Nintendo Switch 2 on the commercial. Have you seen that online?
Yeah. But you're always going to get different opinions on it.
Right. Yeah.
But we're excited about the ad. We thought it turned out really great. When I watch it, it kind of tugs on your heart, right? When you see families together playing Nintendo Switch. So
yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited that this is something new Nintendo is doing. Another step, and it kind of reached me because it shows different generations, and in my house it's like that, right? I play with my son and everything. So that was very nice. Is this part like of a new thing Nintendo is doing in Brazil with the commercials? Can we expect more of that happening in the future?
Well, we always do, right? And you've heard me say this before, is we're continuously evaluating, reevaluating, seeing how we do things, and really looking for new ways to reach out to fans or just to the general public. What we see in Brazil is that there's a great opportunity to expand the audience. We got the Nintendistas, we love them, and we really try to take care of them. But you also have a whole lot of people here in Brazil. They may know Mario, but they don't necessarily connect Mario or Nintendo back to the consoles.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do slowly but surely. So the ad is one part of that. We also have Mall Tour coming. We're gonna hit 5 different cities here in Brazil. And being here at BGS as well, there's a lot of families that come here and people that aren't necessarily familiar with Nintendo. So it's really a form to reach out, to be out there, and the TV ad, to your question, is one more way to do that.
Yeah, and you reach like people outside of the gaming community, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to like a broad audience, and it's another way. You've been saying this for years now, that the objective of Nintendo here in Brazil is to expand the audience, to reach more people, and you've been doing this with different things like there's a Nintendo store here at BGS today, right?
Thanks for mentioning it. That's another great way to reach out. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing that you've been saying, please have patience, we don't know yet, we're doing step by step. Mm-hmm. Is that like one of the steps that you're taking? Like Riachuelo and FunLab is a big brand here in Brazil, and you've been doing collaborations before, but this is the first time they're doing something on this scale. Yeah. Only Nintendo original products.
So we have there's a few pillars within our strategy that we work on. One of them is the mobile games. Right, that's one. Another one is the theme parks, and we just opened a new theme park in Orlando.
I haven't been there yet. I really want to.
You'll be there soon, I'm sure. The other one is the movies, right? And as you know, on April 3rd, we have another movie coming out for Mario, and then a year later, we got Zelda coming out. So the movies are also very important. Going a little bit deeper on the movies, Brazil was number 9 in terms of viewership and revenues in the first Mario movie. So it did really, really well. So Mario is loved and well known. But again, it's how do you connect it back to the video game consoles. So each one of these things are pillars, and the aim is to go ahead and funnel that ultimately back into the core video game business. You mentioned licensed merchandise, and that's another pillar as well. So that's pretty much the 4 pillars that we have through which we want to reach out to the audience. The store, it's a collaboration with Redibra, a company that we work here, licensing company in Brazil, and they in turn work with Riachuelo. We have a long-term relationship with them. And we all got together and looked at this as being a great opportunity to put up a pop-up store here in BGS.
That's awesome. And it's great to see more Brazilians being reached by Nintendo. I mean, me as a fan, I really care a lot about that. Going back again to the commercial, the focus is on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
Does that send a message to the fans like in Brazil that Nintendo believes the Nintendo Switch 1 is more approachable to a broader audience than the Nintendo Switch 2 here yet, I mean, so far?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. So again, we love the Nintendistas, we love the gamers, we don't take them for granted. We are focused on them very much so. At the same time, as you just pointed out, that ad is really aimed at a more general public, that expanded audience. And to your point, Nintendo Switch, which has over 5,000 games and games for everybody, that is probably more suited for that general audience. We still see that Nintendo Switch is doing very well here in Brazil and in Latin America. And we do think that it's more suited for, families with young kids and so forth. Ultimately, we hope that certainly that they'll get into it and they'll upgrade eventually, in a few years and so. But we think that as an entry point, it's a great way to go.
You mentioned it in a few years, so can fans expect, like Nintendo Switch 1 owners, Nintendo is going to keep supporting with new games and new software and updates and everything for years to come?
That's still to be determined. We don't have an end date yet set, but we do have games that are coming for Nintendo Switch. So as you know, we have Pokemon Legends ZA. That's coming out in both Nintendo Switch 2 as well as Nintendo Switch. We have the same as for Metroid Prime 4. That's the same. And then also there's some games coming out like Tomodachi and so that are still coming out next year as well.
Yeah, and
so there's still
Portuguese.
content coming, yes. And there's still more content coming, and it's going to be supported for the time being, yes.
Yeah, it's very clear if you're looking close enough that Nintendo is doing honest and really strong effort in Brazil. All these kind of things that we've been talking about in Brazilian Portuguese. And one big breakpoint for the Brazilian audience is the price, of course. The minimum wage here in Brazil
Yep.
is a lot lower than in other markets. What are the efforts Nintendo is doing in Brazil specifically to help people buy their products and not only desire their products,
Yeah. So first of all, certainly recognize that it is an investment for an individual, for a family, to go ahead and purchase a console and then purchase the games. So we're cognizant of that, and what we're doing is, there's certain costs that we just really can't control, but there are elements of our distribution strategy, our structure of how we get the product here into Brazil that we can continue to improve. When I talk about that model, right, when we return to Brazil, we really were thoughtful about coming up with a model that was sustainable, but also was efficient. And that model, we continue to tweak it and adjust it and try to take costs out so that we can get to Brazil with as affordable as possible pricing. Ultimately, that's in our best interest, right? We want our product to be as affordable as possible.
Yeah, today, as we speak, we've been monitoring sales and things that Nintendo's partners do here in Brazil, and we've seen price drop on the Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart with more than 500 reals. Does Nintendo make efforts with the retailers to help them, maybe in marketing efforts, maybe lower the price in one event or coupons and stuff like that? Is that something that Nintendo actively does with their partners here in Brazil?
Yeah, I won't get into too much detail, but certainly Nintendo as a brand, then our distributor partners as well, and then ultimately with the retailers, we're always looking for ways to keep the excitement going and to find ways to ultimately reach that consumer in a more affordable way. And yes, there's different promotions, and so some of them we're involved in, and other ones the retailers do on their own. I mean, ultimately, like in many other countries, the retailer makes the final decision on what the sales price is, right? But yeah, we do collaborate to see, okay, how can we be more affordable for the consumer, reach more consumers? Yeah,
that's awesome. That we wanna see more of that happening. I think there's two big things Nintendo fans are very concerned in Brazil right now, and thinking of ways or strategizing as a fan, what the corporation can do to help us with the prices and everything. And we've seen Nintendo control sometimes, in their history, the pricing by blocking the Nintendo eShop or localizing the price for here in Brazil. Is that a possibility for us? And what are the maybe constraints that does not allow Nintendo to do that or hasn't allowed Nintendo to do that yet here in our market?
Certainly Brazil has its own pricing or recommended pricing, and there's some unique factors on the pricing here in Brazil. A big component is duties, taxes, that whole structure that you have here, and also the whole distribution structure and the costs that retailers have. There's another factor, for example, that in other countries like in the US, the price is the price and it's a cash price. In Brazil, for the most part, most retailers include consumer financing in that price, and that has a cost. So, if you're buying it and it's either 10 months or 12 months already included in the purchase of it, that certainly has a cost. And we've been seeing the interest rates increasing here in Brazil, right? So these are all factors. Each country is very unique, and Brazil's prices are unique as well.
And what about like maybe localizing on the e-shop only, like the digital, make it different, maybe the price? Because we've seen physical products many times get lower prices than the digital. Isn't that something Nintendo can do only for maybe our Brazilian eShop?
Well, you certainly, when you talk about physical at times being less expensive, there's also times where digital is less expensive. So as we mentioned earlier, ultimately the retailer sets the price, they make decisions. Sometimes there's sales or promotions going on and you'll see that price dip. There's also some, from time to time, we have promotions on the eShop as well, and those prices drop, and then we see the volumes go up because people take advantage of it. So they're not always in sync, right? And the promotions don't necessarily match up. So you will have those differences from time to time.
Do you think there's a way, like if you see, okay, so this price range, when we made a promotion, the sales increased dramatically. Is there a way like you can maybe catch those numbers and crunch numbers and see, okay, so if we reach this price point someday, maybe in the future, our sales can increase a lot? There's a lot of conversation about that online. Is that something Nintendo takes into consideration, or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I'm not talking to you and doing interviews, that we're doing a lot of that number crunching, believe me. And always looking at, like I said earlier, we're always looking at how we can go ahead and be more accessible to our consumers. So certainly we look at those things. At the same time, you can imagine there's a whole lot of costs behind the scenes that have to get covered, right? We talk about software and the cost of software. It's in the news how many studios are in trouble and how the costs of developing games is going up. Yeah, we'd love to give it away for free, but then it's not really going to last. It's not going to be sustainable, right? So
I know it's something maybe, I don't know if you can discuss this or not, but is there like a global cost rules that Nintendo needs to have in all of the markets that you maybe can't, mess with that too much, those numbers here, because it has to be like, we see that the price of Mario Kart that we pay here in Brazil is the same almost that we're paying in United States in dollars, similar to what we see in other markets as well. I mean, that cannot be random, Is it something that maybe the Nintendo in Latin America has freedom to change, or it's like a global rule?
No, look, there's certainly a certain start point, right? But as we mentioned earlier, each market's different. And also in Brazil, there's certain taxes and duties that apply to physical goods, but then there's also some that apply to the digital goods. So you will see differences between different prices. Most countries have to charge VAT, right? So how do you include that? And the US is not included in that price that you see. Everybody uses the US as a reference price.
Yeah.
There's no consumer financing in there, and there's no VAT in it. VAT in most countries is 16%, in Mexico 19%, 21%. So that's included in most countries already in the sales price. So not to get too technical, but those are all different in each country. So you're never going to see parity globally in pricing. On the flip side, believe me, on anything that I can control, I'm trying to get the prices as affordable as possible for our Brazilian fans and consumers.
We totally believe you. I mean, we've seen the fan reaction, and people have this very clear image that what you say is actually what you mean. Sometimes people have these expectations with executives, but people tend to like you a lot. I think they see you're very honest with this. So there's one last thing. There's a lot of conversation online of people trying to fix these problems that we have and trying to find their solutions to these problems. And half of the people think, oh, you wish fans should boycott Nintendo in Brazil. And the other half says, guys, this will never work. We need to make the market flourish here, so they can expand their operation here. What fans can do to help Nintendo here in Brazil? You think boycott is something that could change strategies here in Brazil, or you think something else?
That does seem kind of a pretty radical move, and it seems kind of like a lose-lose situation. We certainly appreciate the feedback on social media, and you've been great also. You ask tough questions, and you bring issues to the table, and I really enjoy our conversations because of that, because you're giving us feedback, right, that we then take back. Some things we can, they're good prompts, and we work on it, and other things, we can't do too much about. So what I would say to the fans is, and you already said it for me, but it's in our best interest for our products to get here as affordable as possible, to reach out to the Brazilian consumers and to establish that relationship to them. We're coming from a honest, great place. I mean, again, you know our mission. It's to put smiles on people's faces. That's what we want to do. And we're doing everything we can to get it there as affordable as possible within reasonable limits that we have. And as you're asking me that question, I'm more focused on all the positive feedback and some challenging comments, but really the love that I feel from the consumers here. You're always going to have outliers there, and especially in social media, right? I think it's a symbiotic, mutual love relationship. I mean, I've talked to you before about how I feel about the fans, how I feel about Brazil here. It's very special, and it really drives me personally. It's a personal thing. I've been doing this now for 18 years, and I've always had Brazil in mind. And we feel the love from the fans too, from the Nintendistas. So I think for the most part, I hope, I mean, you know better than I do, but I think we're in a pretty good place. Hopefully those that are calling for boycotts are more outliers. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is more like the vocal minority, I think. People understand that people move people, and that's the positive things that...
But I also understand the frustrations,
yeah,
right?
Of course we do. Of course I do.
I totally get it, and I'm not deaf to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain realities that we're bound by, right?
Yeah. Is there any changes to our market here with Bowser is retiring?
Yeah.
Right. We have a new president or new CEO in Nintendo of America and a new president, right? So how is that affects our country?
There's no changes as far as the focus on Brazil. I'll share a little bit because you follow Nintendo so closely, but Doug Bowser has been absolutely phenomenal. He's been my boss for about 10 years. His focus on Latin America, he's lived in different parts of Latin America. He lived in Mexico, he lived in Venezuela. He understands Latin America, and he's been a huge supporter and very vocal and an advocate for Latin America and for Brazil specifically within the company and back to Japan.
We fans, we noticed that very...
Yeah. There's a couple other players, again, I'm going deep here, but our CFO within the North America region, Rod Tuber.
I've met him.
He's been here at BGS, and today's his birthday, so I just wished him happy birthday. And he
happy
said,
birthday.
and I remember being down there in BGS, and I loved it so much. So Rod Tuber is another really key individual that's been a big supporter. And then Devin. So she has been in charge of everything that's revenue, marketing, consumer service, and communications. She's had that, but now she's elevating up to be the president of the company of NOA, of the Nintendo of the Americas. That's how I like to say NOA, Nintendo of the Americas, as Doug Bowser retires here at the end of this year. And she has been absolutely phenomenal. She is very sharp. She's a quick read. She understands things, and she's already been a big advocate for us. So as we go through this change, that support that we have earned, that Brazil has earned, it will absolutely continue. And the last comment I would make is, Brazil was so distant for many people within the company. But over time, as we've been focusing on Brazil, as Brazil's been growing, there's kind of like this double-edged sword. But with all these results, we've been getting more and more attention. And the double edges, on one hand, we're getting more and more support. Look at the localization, all the resources that takes. We also get a lot of tough questions about our business, right?
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It comes with the job. So there is a strong focus from within NOA and globally from Japan on Brazil. Brazil's on the map, man, at Nintendo,
yes.
For sure.
We've done it, man.
Yeah,
yes.
Yep. And
that's great.
Thanks to you and the fans,
no,
man.
thanks to you, yeah. Speaking of that, so we can wrap up, can you send a message to the fans?
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it's all about the fans, right? Again, like I said, our mission is putting smiles on people's faces. We just want to make that fandom within Brazil grow. So, and I appreciate everything you do. And Brazil, I love you, man. I mean, I love coming here, and you guys are absolutely great. You're very special.
And Brazil loves Nintendo too. So thank you so much, Bill, once again. And I'll see you next time, right?
Sounds good.